Hi again, everybody. Tony LoRe, head appraiser at the Provident Loan. Want to talk to you today again about a few jewelry topics. I know you're all interested. It was all on your minds this whole week, what I was going to talk about. I want to go into a little bit about everybody's everyday care and wear and tear of their jewelry. Having been in a retail operation is what kept us in business, was fixing everybody's everyday problems with their jewelry that they wear every day. So when I say that is because, the stuff you wear every day is the stuff that's going to wear out. Conversely, you're without the stuff that you really, if this is the things that you wear every day, those are the things that you're most attached to. So when you're not able to wear them because things are broken or some shit, some disrepair, it's upsetting. So we're going to see how we can avoid some of those things. Last week we spoke a little bit about storage of watches, but I'm going to carry this over a little bit into the storage and care of your everyday jewelry. I'm going to speak specifically about platinum jewelry and gold jewelry. Silver is a whole nother discussion. The care and handling is a little different, and maybe I'll get into it a little bit on that, but let's eschew that for the moment and just talk about platinum, gold, and stone jewelry, and about a little bit of preventative maintenance. First of all, the storage. As I mentioned with watches last week, the banging around of items, dissimilar items and metals and crystals is damaging. More so with jewelry. Again, diamonds are the hardest substance in the world, going next to some of the softest substances. Gold and platinum are actually, even though they're metals, they're relatively soft metals. So anything with diamonds that's going to be bumping around next to it is going to scratch them. But more importantly, it's the hardest substance compared to other stones also. And I'm talking about even rubies and sapphires, which are hard in their own right. But if you're banging them next to diamonds, there's going to be a problem, and you're going to ruin the appearance of that jewelry. If you've worn any ring, even a diamond ring, for any period of time, things get scuffed and abraded. Edges of facets get abraded. So if you have everything dumped in a jewelry box and they're knocking together, it's going to exacerbate that situation. It's going to speed up the process of wearing and abrading. And that's not even going so far as when we talk about next to soft stones like opals and turquoise, where it's really damaging. It can ruin them. It can ruin the appearance of these items. So again, the first thing is going to be to separate your jewelry. Again, you laugh, but little Ziploc bags are probably the best thing you can do. It's visible. If you can keep your sets or your suites of jewelry together in little plastic bags, or you can label them. You can label them for occasion. If you get what the stones are, you can put little labels on them or what the different colored stones and things that you have. But if you keep them separate, good things can only happen. The other thing is how people treat their jewelry as far as cleaning and regular everyday maintenance. Now, as far as storage, I just tell you a little story. There are people that I know that because they know their engagement rings, especially, like I say, when I talk about the durability of platinum engagement rings and wedding bands, how they store their jewelry is in a little glass or a little jar. Every night they take it off and they put it into a jar of jewelry cleaner, and they just leave it in there overnight until they pick it up in the morning. They rinse them off and put them on. They're perfectly clean, because they know that you could soak that platinum and those diamonds for 100 years in that solution and nothing's going to happen to them. They're just going to come out. The only thing that's going to happen is going to dissolve any gunk that's on there, and it's going to clean them off. So there are people, yes, that like putting their false teeth next to their night table. They keep their jewelry in, their that kind of jewelry. And I'm not going to say you're not going to put your pearls in there, and you're not going to put your opals in there, soft stuff. And again, not silver, it's a different thing. But your hard gold and diamond jewelry, you can do that. You can literally, put it into a solution overnight and let it soak. Even if you weren't doing that on a regular basis, any jewelry solution they're going to use, and I'm going to give you a recommendation in a minute. a 2-minute soaking something for 2 minutes is not going to do it. Most of the time you're going to have to deposit your jewelry either in a jewelry cleaner or another solution that's going to be cleaning it for a period of time. So yes, something swishing it around in a cleaner is better than nothing, but soaking it for a longer period of time and then rinsing it off is going to be a better thing. There are plenty of commercially available jewelry cleaners which are safe. If you're not sure what to buy, go to your local jewelry store. The stuff is cheap enough. It's a couple of dollars. They like to see your face in the jewelry store anyway, and they're only going to sell you stuff that's safe. And they're going to make the distinction for you. There are different types of jewelry cleaner for soft stones, for hard jewelry that we're talking about, and even for silver if need be. So again, like I always say to you, go with the professionals first. Otherwise, one of the safe things, again, for gold and diamond and hard stone jewelry is going to be a little ammonia and water. 50-50 mix of ammonia and water is going to do the trick in most instances. Why ammonia? Well, the biggest enemy of making dirty jewelry is soap. A lot of people I know wear their jewelry in the shower when washing their hands. Soap leaves a film. Diamonds, one of the ways they separate diamonds in commercial processes is because diamonds have this property that oil sticks to it. And soap and oily films will stick to your diamonds. So whereas you think you're in the shower and you're washing it off, well, that shampoo and that soap is leaving a film and it's clouding your diamond. And in some cases, even in the case of bars of soap, if you're not physically rinsing it off, it's going to leave. I can't tell you how much soap I've steamed and picked out of jewelry over the years. So if you can avoid it, don't wear your jewelry in the shower because it's not really making it any cleaner. It's leaving a film on there. Yes, it could be cleaning off some actual dirt. You've been in the garden working and running it under some water. It's never going to hurt it. But for your diamond jewelry especially, it's going to leave a film. It's going to make it cloudy. But the ammonia will take care of that. Ammonia will cut through. The ammonia and water 50-50 mixture, like I said, let it soak in there, will cut through most soap and gunk. And then you can just rinse it off on the regular water. And you'd be surprised what a difference it makes, even, a 15 or 20 minute soaking. Things that I've heard over the years, which you're going to avoid, are things like boiling your jewelry. Big no-no. And if you've ever seen a customer that came in there with a suite of emerald jewelry that was destroyed because they put it in a pot of boiling water, because this is what they heard, that you can clean things by boiling it, and then not to mention that the heat can destroy the emeralds. But when you let the water run down and you forget about it and it's in a dry burning pot, well, that's a whole other issue. No boiling of your jewelry, okay? That's out. No boiling, no microwaving, okay? Just real simple solutions, which brings me to things that people do that are harmful to their jewelry. Bleach. Bleach is actually, gold is one of these metals. If you go to my blogs, I did a blog that was strictly on the durability of gold, how, people find these coins in the wrecks, the Etosha and whatever, underwater. They've been there for 1,000 years and they pick them up and they're like brand new. A testament to gold and its durability and its corrosion resistant qualities. But there are some things that will corrode gold, and one of them is bleach. So you're not going to ever use any product that's going to contain bleach to clean your jewelry. It will, over time, really pit and corrode your jewelry, and in the short term will turn it dark. It'll oxidize the jewelry. And people notice this sometimes if you are, warm weather places where people are in the pool every day. They will notice that their jewelry will start to darken just from being in the pool in heavily chlorinated water. Because bleach is chlorine bleach, so the chlorine being the component that does the damage to your jewelry. Even chlorine gas. I mean, I know people that they'll open up their chlorine containers to add additives to their pool, and just the fumes coming out of the container will instantly darken their jewelry that they're wearing on their hands or their wrists. So it's very corrosive. So nothing with bleach. And again, if you've spend a lot of time in the pool in heavily chlorinated, and hot tubs even more so with bromine and chlorine, they're just even more concentrated chemically. can be oxidizing and damaging to your jewelry, where you might even have to bring it to a jeweler to have the darkness polished off. Because I do have people that come to me sometimes, is this gold? Is this real? It's my jewelry's turning brown, it's turning black, and in spots where there's been soldering in joints, it even does it quicker. And I say, no, you can be assured it's gold. It's just you spent a lot of time in the pool lately, didn't you? Yes. No, that's usually what does it. So certain chemicals, even though gold is very corrosion resistant, certain things you should stay away from. A little bit of preventive maintenance and the idea of corrosion is on certain pieces of jewelry. There are clasps. Not everybody, but people have your regular everyday jewelry, necklaces and stuff that have springs clasps on them, okay, which are gold also, but not totally gold. Things like lobster claws and spring clasps, the spring is metal. It's not gold. So the things we're talking about, corrosion and pitting, will happen quicker and faster to the spring that's on the inside of these objects. So that's why, even though you have this piece of jewelry that's in perfect shape, the clasp, the metal in the clasp, which is steel or spring steel, will deteriorate. Even if you don't go in a pool, even if you don't use just regular water or regular moisture in the air, will rust through it eventually and deteriorate it, and the spring will go. And unfortunately, the most jewelry that gets lost is because the clasp fails. So a little bit of preventative maintenance. People think that, or they thought that I would tell people, come into my store, have your jewelry inspected. Whenever you want, come on in, we'll clean it, we'll inspect it for you. Yes, it's a traffic builder, no doubt. People come in, we want to see your face. Maybe you'll look at that $10,000 watch that you've been looking at, and you'll look at it again, decide to, but that's the main reason is preventive maintenance. We really did care that you shouldn't lose those items that you really love, So it's not a bad idea to have the clasp checked. A jeweler with a loop on lobster claws can tell if there's any corrosion on the spring on the clasp and may recommend changing it. Or if you know that it's an everyday item that you wear, you may decide you want to change it before it goes and have something clear. Now, again, these are gold items, so they're not inexpensive. And like everybody else, there are priorities in this world, and usually you don't change things until they break. But in this case with clasp, like I said, it's the major reason that people lose their jewelry is that a clasp fails. You should have it checked. Other things to have checked at your jeweler is wear points, bracelet, links in between a bracelet. You're wearing it, again, it's gold, it's relatively soft, and it's wearing against itself. And, a lot of times people think like they have this bracelet they've been wearing for 10 years that it becomes stretched, it's getting longer. You're not getting any skinnier. And the bracelet is not getting any longer, it's not stretching. What's happening is that there's wear on the links. So the gaps in between are getting larger. But what happens is, even though they haven't broken, these wear points in between your bracelets and your necklaces, they get thin enough so that when the bracelet was new and you caught it on a chair or something, it didn't break. But now it will because it doesn't have that much metal. So have your jeweler look at things like that, and he can recommend options. Sometimes it's just certain areas that are prone to wear on a piece of jewelry. And the jeweler knows by looking at a piece of, the professional will know looking at a piece of jewelry where those wear points are going to be, okay? And he can recommend things can be rebuilt or replaced before they go. That has to do also, by the way, with watch bands and watch clasps also. Things wear out. Even though it's stainless steel, things can wear, just as an aside. The other way that people lose jewelry, and a good maintenance thing is, let me back up a second. The most things that are going to wear the most are going to be bracelets, necklaces, and rings. The pendant that's sliding back and forth on a chain, the little loops on the top. Well, that chain, it's swinging on it. That chain is actually soaring through the top of that pendant. Okay, little by little, it's soaring through. So that's something that they're going to check. But on the other hand, things like earrings get very little wear. Nothing's rubbing against them. So your prongs on your ring that you wear every day, just by rubbing them against things, are going to wear out. But on your earrings, that's not the problem. The problem is going to be what's holding the earrings to your ear. Most of the time it's these little spring, what we call butterfly backs, that hold your post of your earrings on, and they do get loose and they wear out. They can be tightened, but some places sometimes they need to be replaced. And that's how most earrings are lost, is because the tension on the backs has loosened over time, and it doesn't take much to pop it out of your ear. You're brushing your hair and the earring's on and you don't realize it. And there are other class 1 earrings that do contain metal, the same way, like I said to you, in the metal on the class, kidney wires and stuff. The spring on there is metal, and they're prone to the same, especially if you wear them in the shower and you wear them in water, the same stainless steel that's going to deteriorate. And if the spring goes at some point, you're not going to realize you're going to lose your earrings. So those are all things that you're best off every once in a while. And if you're a jewelry person, you wear jewelry just like your shoes or anything else, there is some maintenance and things that you have to do, that you should do. Go to your local jeweler. Most are not there just to build up your, some kind of a job. They'll point out to you if there's wear. And if you went in there for a purpose to ask the professional what any problems that may arise. Let them look at it, let them clean your jewelry, let them make suggestions of what you could do. Things to avoid other than that is rings in the wintertime, coats and sweaters. In the summertime it's not that much of an issue, but more stones have been lost because people didn't realize over time their prongs had gotten thin and very susceptible to quickly being able to be bent back because they're so thin. And then you're putting your arm in the sleeve of a coat and it catches a prong and you don't think anything of it. You pull your hand back or whatever. Now your prong, on a 4-prong ring, 1 prong has been bent back and presto chango, you lose your stone. So try and be a little conscious sometimes if you're wearing jewelry like that, the quickest thing to do is to turn your rings around before you put your hands in the sleeve. Take your engagement ring or your diamond or whatever it is, or whatever stone you have, and turn it upside down so it's protected by the palm of your hand as you're putting your arm in your coat. It's a stupid little thing, but believe it or not, you get in the habit of doing that. The other thing is a little bit of danger involved, danger of losing your jewelry. I always recommend people take off their jewelry when they're washing their hands. Of course, they have to remember to put it back on. There's a lot of washroom attendants with jewelry that they've accumulated over the years that never went back to their original owners. But it is a good idea to take your jewelry off before you wash your hands. The main reason is because of dermatitis. People don't realize that, especially with rings that are, especially if they're not loose, they're a little tight on your finger. You get any moisture under there, it sits under your skin, and it does cause bacterial and gross stuff to happen in that gap. So my suggestion is to dry your fingers and hands off thoroughly before you put your rings back on. The other thing is, of course, again, you're going to get that soap and that film and that gunk on there. But just please remember to take your ring or your bracelet, whatever it is, and put it back on. Other little things are for certain specific things, pearls. These are more delicate gemstones. Pearls, opals, turquoise. These are organic, in many cases, organic substances. In the case of pearls, of course, they are organic substances that are delicate. So when you're putting on colognes, perfumes, whatever, or hairsprays or any body lotions and stuff, do it before you put the pearls on. And especially with pearls, if you're going to put lotion and creams on, they will affect the pearl if you're putting them on your neck. So at the very least, sometimes you can't avoid that. Try and clean them off with a soft cloth after you've worn them to clean up any. Now, it's a little touchy because I tell people, we'll clean off your pearls and then they go soak them in some kind of a solution or whatever. Pearls should be professionally cleaned and reknotted. If you wear your pearls on a regular basis, a few times a year, they should be professionally cleaned and reknotted once every couple of years. But in the meantime, soft cloth with I'm talking about not a paper towel, which can be abrasive also, soft cloth or terry cloth with just a little bit of water on there. So you're not soaking the string or anything, and run your pearls gently through it to take off any oils from your skin. Conversely, and that's the same thing you should do with things like turquoise and stuff like that, because turquoise, which contains copper, that nice blue turquoise color will turn green over time, just in nature anyway, by oxidizing, which is another reason to keep it in a Ziploc bag when you're not wearing it. But any perfumes and oils will speed up that process. And you'll find that your blue turquoise is going to be green turquoise in a number of years otherwise. I don't know how much time we're running against here. So. On the other hand, the oils from your skin are a good protectant for certain things like opals, which are up to 75% water. You can take a little oil from the side of your nose, we all have it, and rub it on your stone every once in a while. Same thing on cameos and other organic corals. That oil actually is a little bit of a protectant. You can rub it on there. I'm not going to tell you, I mean, you can use mineral oil and other, but people tend to get crazy dunking in oil and soaking it and forget about it. So use a little oil from your skin and you can just rub it on these little, you're wearing a nice coral, angel skin coral ring every once in a while, take a little oil, rub it on there. It protects it. Taught to me by a real old-time jeweler, and these are things that were taught to him from hundreds of years ago, little stupid things. What else? I want to get back to watches a little bit. Rubber, especially now after the summer, people have been in the pools, they've been to the beach. You're wearing your watch that you bought specifically to go into the pool with because it's got a rubber diver's band on there, and you'll see over time they get hard and they break and they start to get cut. Well, you can make your rubber watch band last 50 times longer if you wash it off when you get home. Get a little soap and water, and the watch is waterproof. You wear it in the pool or the beach or whatever, but it's got all those what do you call it? Sunscreens on there and other things, and the salt water and stuff on there which are drying. Just get a little soap and water on your hands, and when you wash your hands, wash the watch band off. Rinse it off, put it in the drain board, let it dry. Okay. And last but not least on this is, and I know I said I was going to touch on this, I was going to touch on a little bit, is silver. And we're going to have a whole discussion one day about silver jewelry and why not to wear it. It's just a different metal. It's got different properties. It oxidizes quicker. But it also, again, I've said this before, and I want to get into a whole science about this. Don't mix your metals. If you're cleaning jewelry, and some people now go so far as have their own little ultrasonics at home, which is fine as long as you don't abuse it. Do not mix your silver jewelry with your gold jewelry. It has an electrolytic process that will actually deposit some of the silver onto the gold. And for the silver itself, the same solutions you can't use because it will oxidize the silver. But I've had people put their silver jewelry with their gold jewelry in ultrasonic. You add chemicals, you add heat, and voila, all of a sudden you have silver-coated gold jewelry. So don't do that. Don't leave your silver and gold separate, even with little home care solutions, even in the solutions I told you about, ammonia and water. Just treat them totally separate. Okay. And I think that's it for today. Anybody has any questions, send them on in. I'll be happy to answer anything that I can. And again, if I don't know it, I'll find out and I'll let you know, get an answer for you. I do want to go to a couple of questions, though, from last week's blog. Let's see. Todd from Brooklyn wants to know, well, what's better for a man's ring? We talked about white gold and platinum. He wants to know what's better for a man's ring, platinum or gold or white gold. I'm going to use the same thing that I said to you in my opening statement, that if it's your good jewelry, if it's something like your wedding band or an engagement ring, something that you plan on, it's not going to be a fashion thing that you're going to change. It's something you plan on having and passing out to your descendants or ancestors or whatever you want to know. Ancestors is once before. Anyway, go with platinum if you can. Although in men's jewelry, like I said to you, platinum is going to be more of an expense. And when you're talking about men's rings and men's bracelets and things like that, it's going to become even more so. You may find budget-wise that it's going to be more cost-efficient to buy gold jewelry. But for the same reasons, if you can buy platinum and you're looking at a white metal jewelry. But I will say this much. If you're buying yellow gold jewelry, yes, there is a difference between 18 karat and 14 karat jewelry in its durability because 18 karat is a little softer. But if and there is a color variation that the higher the carat, the yellower it will get. But otherwise, knowing the way men are and how rough they can be with their jewelry, 14 karat is fine. You know, it'll hold up a lot better. It'll wear out. The wear and tear. The shanks will last longer. There will be less bendable if you go with 14 karat jewelry or over 18 karat jewelry. Another thing, when I'm thinking about it, is for men's jewelry, as far as preventive maintenance. You know what? If you work in a job where you work with your hands, take your jewelry off also. And I don't say this from a wear and tear standpoint. I say from a safety standpoint. You know, I know newlywed plumbers that are, you know, conscious about they don't want their wives to see them without their wedding band. But you know what? You can lose a finger. You can get electrocuted. You can do all those types of stuff with metal on your hand. Explain the situation to your wife. Leave the stuff and put it on when you get home, or put it on when you're going out. But for wearing it for every day, certain occupations, you shouldn't wear jewelry. You shouldn't wear jewelry from a safety standpoint. Marissa from Florida wants to know, well, if there's a big cost difference in between gold and platinum, well, why not silver? Why not silver jewelry? Again, silver has always been the leftover cousin to the other metals, because it has some exactly the same properties in that it's, you know, durability is about the same. It's malleable. In other words, you can make all types of items with it. You can flatten it, you can draw it into wire. But the difference is it does oxidize. Oxidizing meaning that it turns black, it turns a color. So that's why people have always been reticent to put expensive stones into a ring that's going to turn black or turn dark. There have been times historically where gold and platinum and other metals were reserved for other purposes, for wartime use, and silver became much more prevalent. And you will see some antique jewelry and vintage jewelry where diamonds and precious stones are set in silver. But you will also see that that's also black and dark jewelry. And when you have jewelry that contains stones, yes, silver, you can take a cloth and polish it off, but how are you going to get under a stone? How are you going to get into the little nooks and crannies? So generally, precious stones are not going to be set in silver jewelry. And again, I'm not going to recommend it as an alternative because it does turn dark. Anyway, that's it for today. See you all next week. Have a good day.